Morning, everyone. We are live streaming, so you know, there's the camera there. This one's on the judge, and there's one on the witness stand. As you may have seen, if you looked last night, I don't leave them up after they've been live streamed. We'll do that at the end, possibly, depending on how things go. But I've listened to concerns of people who think that potentially witnesses or jurors could go back and watch, and that eliminates that possibility. So keep communicating if there's something that y'all see and you want to make better. Anything we need to take up before the jury comes in? All right. That'd be great. Thank you.
All right, so jury.
You may be seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for getting here on time, even through this tough weather, but who's going to complain about that, right? We'll take the rain. We will begin with the witness who was on the stand yesterday. Mr. Rodriguez, remember that you are under oath. Okay? State, you may proceed.
Further, there is one thing that I wanted to talk with you about. Do you have a prior felony conviction for unconstitutional assault?
Yes.
And what is that?
I was under the influence and I actually injured car accident.
Now, did you go to prison for that?
Yes.
Did you talk to them about that?
I might have, yeah, yes, I did. Because I mentioned that I didn't release the.
Now, how did that come across, or how did that come up during your conversation?
It was probably just one of those things that I don't know, I threw out there because we're sharing personal information, trying to get the money. So, yeah, it was significant enough to mention it.
Would you describe when you were talking about that as bragging about what happened?
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't you brag about something like that?
Because it was a bad thing that happened, and I had to serve, time for it, and it changed me. But looking back on it, I mean, it did change me at that moment. But now I look at it a lot differently with everything that's happened.
Okay. Now, is there anything else about that conversation regarding your anti-execution assault that you had with the defendant that you were making?
That is going to be like a result.
Now, I want to talk about you and Peyton that night. During that night, do you recall ever touching Peyton?
No, not me. She was obviously, she was really intoxicated. She was grabbing out for support, so she can walk straight and stuff like that.
And did you help her with that?
Yes.
Did you get her your hands to help?
Yeah, we were not the police.
And what led up to that?
It was somewhere around the square as we were going to the second hour.
So that was in between the bars?
Excuse me?
Was that in between the bars then?
Yes.
Okay. Back at the Palazzo, did you touch Peyton in any way, shape, or form?
Nothing.
And where was she during the duration of the conversation you had with the defendant outside of you?
She was, were you asking where she was?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was in the backseat the entire time.
During that night, do you recall ever sitting laughing?
Yes, actually, the second bar we went to, there's a U-shaped booth. And actually, she got in the middle, so I was gonna let, Josh sit next to her, but he told me to go in, which made me a little uncomfortable, because I figured he would wanna sit next to your fiance, right? But he, you know, kind of was like, "No, go ahead, go ahead." So it was me kind of stern about it, so I did.
I want to talk about that a little bit more. Who was sitting next?
So who's sitting there first? Well, Peyton made her way in to go and sit in the middle. And, then I was trying to let Josh go in next, so he can sit by her. But he basically wanted me to sit next to her.
Do you know why that was? Or did he explain?
He did explain, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, it really doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Were you talking to both of them that night?
Yes,
And at the time that you sat down, was there anything sexual in nature going on?
no, not wrong.
When she sat down, who were you talking to?
When we all sat down, I was talking to everybody, and mainly Josh was. Well, and I did talk to him primarily.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about your conversation regarding Christianity. Right before your shot, do you remember talking to the defendant about whether or not he would be forgiving of his actions?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me about that?
Well, as like that's the thing, I felt like he was wanting to do it, he was aiming at the gun at me. And that was kind of like, at the point where I figured he was gonna do it, so I asked him, you know, that question. Kind of like to see if he was serious about it or not. And when he told me that he wouldn't be forgiven, I was like, okay, he would. You know, he's gonna shoot me probably. So I was like, well, go ahead and do whatever you're gonna do.
Well, why did you ask him that specifically?
Because I had been talking to him like throughout the night, about my views.
And what did you hope to gain by asking him about whether or not he'd be forgiven?
Well, I was trying to see where his head was really. Because it was pretty tense.
Did you think bringing up Christianity might de-escalate the situation?
Yes, man, that was part of it. But I was just trying to figure it out, honestly.
At the point that the gun was out, and you're talking about this, and you say just go ahead and do it. Did you actually think that the gun would shoot you?
No, man, not at all.
Why not?
He had it out and I don't know, I just didn't, as the night was going well, I didn't catch any kind of hint that he was upset or, you know, meant any ill will toward me. Really, other than the very end of the night.
The next thing I'd like to talk about is outside of the vehicle. Was there, whenever y'all initially came home to the Lazio, to the defendant's home? Now, did we ever mention anything about going upstairs that you remember?
Yes,
We need to go to the review with that.
several times he asked me to go upstairs and when I asked him to get the Uber, he told me he would get me. The time that was at was wanted to come upstairs and hang out there for a little while, which I don't really know where, you know, that was going to lead to. I was, it just didn't feel right either.
What did you do?
Without things, the kind of atmosphere, the kind of vibe that I was coming in, it just didn't seem like that. And his Peyton was kind of out, and it didn't seem, I just wanted to go home, really. It didn't feel right,
Did you want to go upstairs that night?
not at all, I wanted to go home.
Did you ask the defendant for a waiver?
Said that I'm good.
At the point where the shooting happened and the defendant had the gun, what did you do?
It didn't really cross my mind, honestly. I felt like he really wasn't gonna shoot me.
Would you have advanced towards someone that had a gun?
No,
Why not?
I don't want to have like threatening all of them.
And how much bigger are you than less than you?
At the time I was like 135, but I don't know, it's probably closer to 200 or so, and maybe a little bit more pounds, a lot taller than I am.
Would you have thought it was a good idea to go forward and try to get the weapon from him?
Judge, speculation.
Sustained.
Were you trying to go get the weapon from him?
You know, was I trying to?
Would you have done that?
Judge, speculation.
Overruled.
Would you have done that?
No, man, I don't.
Why?
I don't like conflict, honestly, I really prefer not to.
Do you think that you would have been successful considering your size and the fact that he was holding a weapon?
Judge, speculation, no.
Sustained.
Oh, how much do you think that you have to bring that in?
That's a tough question to answer. I really think you would, that's the number of the minutes that I had.
And do you recall seeing how much the defendant consumed?
I felt like at the beginning of the night, they were hitting pretty hard. They were really drinking a lot.
And what about you?
He kind of got really drunk really fast because they were hitting really hard at the beginning of the night.
Would it surprise you if your blood alcohol was high that night?
It was starting to.
Do you remember how many beers you drank when you were back at the pool out together? And you fought me for it.
No, I could throw a number out there, but it wouldn't be certain that.
Was it more than one?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury how many bullet injuries?
One more.
You showed the jury where that was?
Right where your rib cage meets, the breastbone, it's right under there. The little
You should have a hospital that night.
yes, ma'am.
How long were you there?
I was there for a week.
Did you have to have surgery?
Yes,
And did you have staples or stitches in that surgery?
yes, ma'am.
Remember at this time of the states exhibit number 8, which is a copy of the medical records of the recent years presents themselves.
Well, thank you, Your Honor.
States Exhibit 8 is admitted.
A little bit about the people during the night. Covered that. Did you have any kind of necklace on that night?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you describe that to me?
Was like a ball chain, one of the kind of cheap, kind of like one of the little like silver balls that connected to each other. On it had a Jubilee cross that I had received when I was in prison. And then it had like a dog tag my mother had given me. And it had some kind of, I wouldn't really call it a prayer, but it was like some kind of mother son type of thing that it said, you know, I can't remember what it said, but it said something, you know, it was to my son, something like that. Yeah. I recall that was.
What's something like this, right?
The cost is probably that big, and the dog that is probably like really large.
So would that be about an inch and maybe 2 inches approximately?
Yeah, it should happen before on it.
Did it damage in any way before that night?
No, I haven't seen it since.
Did it like that?
They're like, what,
Did you get any of those items back afterwards?
no, I haven't seen it since, and I was wondering what happened to it, honestly.
Do you know what happened to the chain?
I figured it busted, or it was maybe it got lost in the ambulance.
Yeah, so it was Sherman?
Sorry,
Yeah.
you may.
Show you what's been marked as states exhibit number 44 and 45. Are these the items that you had just discussed?
This one,
The dog tag and the cross that you received,
this one.
and you were wearing those that night?
Mhm.
And is that a yes?
This one.
I'll talk to you a little bit about the statements that you gave. Did you talk to the police at the hospital?
Yes,
Did they give you pain medication while you were in the hospital?
yes.
How would you describe your pain levels as you were trying to talk to the police that night?
Probably lower, they usually say 1 to 10 is. 10, not easily.
As you were struggling for your life, were you concerned about what happened to the defendant at that time?
The
Yes.
at the time, I didn't really consider, I mean, I felt like he was all right, but the time was probably okay. And I didn't have a reason to be excited about it so much.
What was your focus when you were talking to the police?
To get extra. Pretty much.
Did you talk to him before or after the interview?
Before.
Did you do an interview with the police after you were released? So,
Yes,
and did the police actually come out to your home?
this one.
Originally, did you want to pursue charges against the defendant?
No, I did not.
Why not?
I forgave him. For shooting me. And I didn't really want to press charges because I didn't want to see him go through what I had been through. And the detective told me, you know, if you don't do this, and you're not gonna get any help on the medical bills and stuff like that. And I was kind of struggling with it for a second. And then I thought about it, I didn't want anybody else to get hurt, though. You know, I don't want somebody else to be in the same situation I was in. So that's kind of never mind to agree to testify.
So originally, you hadn't told the police that you wanted to prosecute, is that right?
Yeah,
And then later you did.
later on, that
Whenever you were talking to the police over the hospital, and whenever they came out to your home, did you tell them the truth about what happened that night?
yeah,
That's what it is.
Defense?
Good morning, sir. Good morning. Mr. Rodriguez, my name is Susan Arada. I represent Joshua King in this case. I'm going to be asking you some questions. If you don't understand the question, please let me and I'll try to clarify it. Yes, sir. Please let me finish my question and then answer it after I'm done, so the court reporter can take everything down, okay? Yes, sir? Yes. And I'm sorry, yes, it can be yes or no. Sounds the same when we talk it out. Yes. Thank you. You and I have never spoken about this case, correct?
no, sir.
Correct, we have never spoken, right?
Correct.
Did you keep any personal notes with regards to what happened on May 22nd of 2020?
No, sir.
Did you keep any type of journal?
No, sir.
Any type of recording?
No, sir.
What have you used to refresh your memory to testify yesterday and this morning?
Talking about it and reviewing our testimony.
Who did you review testimony with?
With, Courtney.
And when you think Courtney is, Ms. Hanson, the assistant district attorney, talking about it, who are you talking about it to?
Courtney.
Okay. Now, you spoke, with law enforcement, correct?
Yes, sir.
You spoke with Officer Campbell,
I'm not, I don't remember his name.
the officer that came to your home,
Yes, sir.
okay? Did you speak with him via phone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you remember approximately how many times you spoke with him via phone?
I would say 4 times, 4 maybe we can organize. Yeah.
Would you happen to remember when those dates were when you spoke with him?
No, sir.
Were those dates a month or two after, May 22nd, 2020?
It was that long
Maybe a month after?
at the latest.
At the latest. Have you spoken with Detective Campbell since then?
No, sir.
How many times have you spoken with Detective Campbell in person?
Just the one time we came to,
Any other interactions you had with him via phone only?
no other interactions.
As far as you talked to him via phone, correct?
Yeah.
Did you talk to him via social media or text or anything else? No, you had a conversation with Detective Campbell on June 10th, 2020, right, at your home?
Correct.
How long did you speak with Detective Campbell before he turned on the recording device?
Maybe 15 minutes, maybe.
What did you speak about during those 15 minutes?
Me opening the door for him and kind of, take him to my kitchen, sitting down and, they might not even be 15 minutes. He was just, and then he explained to me that he was on the board and, just kind of what we were about to do as far as it goes.
Have you had an opportunity to review that recording to refresh your recollection?
Yes,
How many times have you reviewed that recording?
just one time.
When was that?
Say like 3 weeks ago.
Did you speak with any coordinators at the district attorney's office,
Coordinators.
like any victims assistants?
Victims assistance. Why, or other,
People from the district attorney's office, nobody ever called you and talked to you?
weird, yes.
Do you remember speaking to somebody from the district attorney's office on January 7th, 2021? And Aaron Dopalin?
I don't recall that.
You don't recall speaking with her and talking about this case not being a huge deal to you?
No, sir.
You recall indicating that you wish Joshua the best? You remember that?
This is not built in.
Overall,
You remember saying that you wish Joshua the best with this case?
I wish him well.
Is Ms. Hanson the only district attorney assistant DA that has spoken to you about this case?
Yes, sir, I believe so.
Do you recall talking to Miranda Eversole?
I don't know that.
When you spoke with Ms. Hanson, did she show you anything?
Showing you guys what,
Any videos, any maps, any photos?
yes,
What did she show you?
the video of my interview with the detective.
Anything else?
No, it's been more recent, but I think pictures.
Now, in regards to this case, you forgave Josh
Yes,
entirely,
yes,
honestly.
honestly, yes.
You really did, what did you mean when you said that you didn't want to put yourself on the in? With regards to this case?
I don't know, like I said, I don't want to conflict too much. I guess, I feel like a little nervous about doing these kind of things.
And you didn't want to put Josh through the ringer, is something you've expressed several times, correct?
Yeah, but I also don't want anybody else to get hurt for something, the same thing happening to somebody else.
Yeah, you didn't want to fight that much in your own case, correct? What you indicated in the past?
Overall,
Well, that's what really made me want to do what I'm doing now. Like the detective told me, I won't be having any help with, my medical expenses. And, yeah, I mean, we really wouldn't have to face any kind of, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Any kind of, not punishment, but I'm sorry, I'm kind of at a loss for words right now. Yeah. Sorry, you had a question?
That you felt you really did not want to go and fight this case very much, right? And you've expressed a reason that you're here, a main reason for you is your medical expenses, correct?
Not the main reason, no, I don't want this happening again, basically, is what I'm trying to do. And if it's not right,
You did not want to sit in trial, correct?
it's not especially something I like to do, no.
Your involvement was you just wanted to give a statement and be done with this case, correct? Whenever you first met with Detective Campbell on June 10, 2020.
I mean. Yeah, but it's,
In your statement that when you tell him, right?
it's not how it works, so.
It's not how it works, how you wanted it to work, or how Detective Campbell convinced you to have it work.
At first, it was something like I said, I didn't really want to mess with it. I did forget Josh. But, like I said, I don't want this happening again to somebody else. And it's not so much as somebody convinced me to do it. It's, I take a moment to really take a step back and think about what I have to do in order to accomplish what I want to accomplish.
On that interview of June 10th of 2020, you told Detective Campbell that you did not want Josh to be put through the ringer because of a mistake, correct?
Well, he shouldn't have shot me if that a mistake you're referring to.
I don't know what was secured from you. You're the one that said those words, that you did not want Josh to be put through the ringer because of a mistake, were your words,
Okay,
correct?
yes, I did think that shooting me is a mistake, yes.
You also indicated that you did not feel that he intended to kill you on that same interview,
I
correct?
felt like that, but I mean, them shooting me and like he shot me at close range like that. Really, I don't think it's more of an assault, honestly. I feel like he didn't want to kill me.
Close range, how close was that range?
Maybe, like I said, the parking space with,
A parking space width,
yes,
so you're looking at maybe 6 feet?
yes, it's not close range.
You indicated if he wanted to kill you, he could have killed you, right?
Probably,
But instead, he didn't run after you were shot. He stayed at the scene, correct?
yes,
He helped you get aid. Whenever you're on the 911 call,
yes,
so you're asking for the apartment, he tells you where you're at.
yes,
He also helped you identify the location where the ambulance or the assistance could locate you, correct?
yes, sir.
Now, you've indicated that you've been to prison for an intoxication assault.
Yes, sir.
You indicated that you were under the influence.
Yes, sir.
Were you a minor when that happened?
No, sir.
Are you aware that under the influence is only for people that are minors?
No, sir.
Under the influence is just for that for minors.
Okay.
So then you were not under 21 when this happened.
No, sir.
So then you were intoxicated.
Yes, sir.
You had lost the normal use of your mental and physical faculty.
Yes, sir.
Was it introduction of alcohol or drugs?
Well,
Both.
yes, sir.
At that point, you were given an opportunity with that charge.
An opportunity as one.
You were put on probation.
Yes, sir.
You may.
Okay, that's not being recorded. So that is not the situation.
Not on prevention, so it's not that, but nothing to go into probation status.
I didn't.
But, and I want to make one that the charge was. I'll say that.
Because you did that in that intoxication assault, your wife was injured.
What's about, well, I guess technically, that was a woman that was in a relationship for a long time.
My apologies, sir. And now her injuries were serious bodily injuries, correct?
She broke her arm. Yes,
A serious bodily injury.
yes, sir.
Now, on direct examination yesterday, you didn't remember the name of the people involved. You said Josh, his fiance, a friend, and a friend, correct?
Correct.
Now, back on June the 10th of 2020, you remember their names, correct?
I don't recall it.
On the interview that you viewed, that refresh your recollection with Detective Campbell, you mentioned Peyton, correct?
I'm not even mentioning it, I'm not the person that's Josh's fiance.
Do you need to have your memory refreshed by reviewing that interview again, sir?
That,
Thank you, Coach.
Yes.
Hold on.
Your camera, make your computer. Show it to him. You have headphones? Okay, well, show him what we need him to see. You may, thank you.
We might do that to one of the.
Do we have to wait for him to go downstairs?
Just like to ask them to get back to it.
Okay, let's do that.
Later on in your testimony yesterday on direct, Mr. King, Mr. Rodriguez, you remembered Alexandra. You used her name in your testimony, right?
Yes,
So you did remember her name.
yes, at one point I did.
You were very attentive to Peyton that day, correct?
That's it.
Yes, you were concerned for her.
Very much, very much to me.
Very concerned about her alcohol consumption.
Yeah,
Feels you were very intoxicated.
yes,
You expressed concern of her not having drank water on several occasions.
yes,
You were assisting her, you're walking, you're holding her by the hand, right?
yes, sir.
Why do you hold her by the hand like that whenever you demonstrate? Why do you hold your hand so high up? What's going on there?
She's a lot taller than I am.
The lot taller, that you have to hold your hand over your head to walk her?
Maybe, and it seemed less, I don't know, romantic, I guess, it seemed more of a, like a friendly kind of a lead.
You've also indicated that, whenever you saw them, that Peyton was already feeding it, correct?
Yes, she's pretty much good.
You were helping Josh keep an eye on Peyton.
To the best of my ability.
And you did this at different bars and at the business, correct?
Yeah,
You were being very helpful taking care of her.
I'm trying to be.
You made some observations of their group very quickly, correct?
Can you elaborate on it?
Their level of intoxication.
Oh, yeah,
Then again, you could tell they already had something going on with the group, correct?
yes, sir,
As far as the drinking.
yes, sir.
You also indicated that you noted that Peyton was not paying attention to her surroundings. That's why you were keeping an eye on her.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So these people whom you did not know, had never met before, you were keeping an eye on her. 20-something-year-old, 10 years younger, you were keeping an eye on her.
They were being nice to me, so I figured I'd try to be nice back, like keeping an eye on them.
Through the night, you were also making a judgment on Josh's abilities, correct?
I don't understand.
You've indicated throughout the night, Josh didn't give you the idea that he was the type of person to do that. And by that, to shoot you. That's what you indicated to take account.
Yeah, he didn't really seem like he was one to really well on anything like red flags.
But you made a determination on what type of person or what, how he would react, correct?
Yeah, I guess, yes.
It was important to you to know that, hey, what's the guy willing to do or not do, correct? Make that determination.
Yeah.
You also noted Josh's level of intoxication.
Yeah.
And now with John, with regards to Josh, you were a little bit more careful. You were actually noticing this eye movement as far as his level of intoxication, correct?
That's
At the bars, was there a lot of pictures taken?
there were some pictures taken.
Who was taking the pictures?
I'm sorry.
Alexander, you called her out when you were out there.
Yes, that's right.
But it's Alexander.
Yes,
She was taking pictures, anybody else?
maybe, I don't recall so much, well, I know Ally was.
Were you in any of those pictures?
I
Were you in any of those pictures?
tried my best not to be, but I think I might have been in some,
Why were you trying your best not to be in the pictures?
I still like taking pictures.
You didn't want anybody to know you were out there?
No, sir, like that.
How did you react when the pictures were being taken? Did you walk away?
I just kind of, went back a little bit.
You had consumed quite a bit of alcohol, correct?
I was drinking, yeah,
And your alcohol concentration was twice over the legal limit that night, correct?
yes,
You were also drinking beer at the apartment,
yes.
and you indicated you had 2 beers when y'all were at the apartment?
I didn't tell you honestly how much I was drinking for every apartment.
Were you, had you consumed any drugs that day?
No, sir.
You made a comment out of getting out of person early. You didn't?
Sustained.
Did you speak with them about any lessons from prison? Yes.
Yeah, I did, probably, yes.
What was that about?
Well, I don't know, I feel like it changed me significantly. Like I mentioned earlier, not entirely because I was still hanging out, where I probably shouldn't have been hanging out at.
Did you think you had gotten out early?
No, sir, I know I didn't, I really.
Now, May 22nd of 2020 was opening day for the bars here in San Marcos.
Yeah, I believe that the night that we were out, this is the night they opened up.
Had you gone out much prior to that date?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Had you gone out much prior to that date?
No.
You're more of a loner?
Yes,
I believe you indicated you had no friends.
yeah, I was there.
Did you live by yourself?
Yes,
Where did you work?
it's a place called Xerxes, it's, they make like the gas station, for the gas station, part of that. I worked there.
Was this the first time that you have gone out in a while?
Yes, sir.
So you went out with a 6-inch buck knife.
I always work, everywhere I go, I usually have it, so it's not going.
Okay. Why do you have that button on with you everywhere you go?
Like I was saying yesterday, I have the full range of motion and dexterity in this hand, like me to open things. I use that knife to open stuff, that's difficult for me to open, it's part of the reason. But it's the primary reason, really.
And you indicated that you use it to open packages, correct? That's what you said yesterday.
Things like that.
But you also had a pocket on your keychain.
Yeah,
You did, right?
yeah.
That same pocket knife in your keychain, you could use that to open packages. But you chose to also have the pocket knife and the 6-inch blade,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
You also had a tactical punch,
And,
a tactical punch pin.
yeah,
Okay. And that tactical punch pin has different uses.
yes, sir.
Break glass.
Yes,
Have you ever used it to break any glass?
yes, sir.
Okay. You could also use it as far as for defense pressure points,
Yes, sir.
limiting people or keeping people under control.
I wouldn't use that way, but
You can.
you can, I guess, so.
You've indicated that you use survival shows, correct?
Yeah, I like watching stuff.
So and look, you're able to learn that a tactical pen can be used to subdue an individual, correct?
It's more of a survival, like, show, it's not like a self-defense. But,
The tactical pen can be used.
Hold on, one at a time, please. I didn't get your question, sir.
A tactical pen can be used to subdue an individual, correct?
I'm aware of that, yes.
Now, you've indicated that the buck knife you were carrying with you, that you showed it to them.
Yes,
And you showed it to them there at Sean Patrick's?
yes,
Where were y'all at when you showed them this knife?
sitting at a table, I believe,
Who was sitting at the table?
I guess everybody, there, I can't recall it, when it's sitting there,
Josh,
Josh was there,
Peyton,
Peyton, most likely there,
Alexandra,
I was most likely there,
Chris?
the brother,
Yes, Alexandra's brother.
most likely there.
Okay, now since it was opening night, was there a lot of people in the bars?
Yeah, it's pretty busy, yeah.
You testified yesterday that there were some people waiting in line to go in because there were only letting some in and some out.
Yes.
So you're in Sean Patrick's at a table. There's other people around. And you take out a buck knife with a 6-inch blade and you start showing it to them there.
Yeah, I was probably asked. It sticks out,
What do you mean you were asked that it sticks out?
you can see it on my person, it's fixed to my belt.
Fixed to your belt, is it in the front or in the back? Where in the belt do you have?
Hold on.
Let me finish, that way she can get everything there. Where in the belt do you carry that knife?
In my back, like it's tucked in my back pocket on my belt.
Will you please stand up and show us what you mean by that? Just use your hand as far as like right here in the back pocket, like people put their wallets. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have it looped onto the belt, sticking to the back pocket?
Yes, sir.
Now, that knife has a 6-inch blade, that tang is longer than that, correct?
The what is?
The tangle?
I'm not sure if it's a 6-inch blade, but I think the knife's probably about 6 inches itself. The blade, it's pretty well balanced, it's like that kind of, that handle,
That knife has handle.
yeah,
And the handle could also be used as a weapon.
I'm sure if you really wanted to use something as a weapon, you could, maybe,
The handle is not a solid handle, correct?
it's not a solid handle, but I mean, it's metal.
And by what I mean by that, you could actually put your fingers in between that handle.
Oh, no, the openings of that handle are large and small, you know, double coverage.
You've indicated that you might have shown them the tactical pin. You don't know if you showed them the tactical pin or not,
I
correct?
probably did, if I showed them the knife, I imagine.
You're saying you're not sure whether you did or not,
I'm
correct?
not absolutely definite.
At the bar, y'all were talking about religion,
I mentioned something about it.
and at the bar, you asked Josh if God would forgive him if he died, if he would be forgiven. Y'all talked about death and life,
Talk about that, I guess.
and about forgiveness, when that occurs, correct? You said you were Christian,
Yes, sir.
and I believe you said it was non-denominational.
Yes, sir.
You had a phone with you that night?
I'm sorry, can you do that?
You had a phone with you that night?
Yes, sir.
And after you used it to call 911,
Yes, sir.
and with Josh's assistance, you got aid.
Yes, sir.
Now, on that call, listen, sure, did you indicate on that call that you were running from Josh?
I was trying, you played it yesterday, I was trying to get away from this.
Trying to get away from him, okay? So after you were shot, after you told them, gonna do it,
Yeah,
you tried to run away from him.
got shot, yeah, I was trying to walk away from him.
So trying to walk away or trying to run?
I don't think that I ran,
Putting some distance,
putting some distance, yeah.
and before you got shot, you never tried to do that.
No,
You were close range,
yes,
holding the beer in your hand.
I don't wanna lie to you, I don't remember about it here now.
What restaurant did you go to before you got down to Sean Patrick's?
To be Twin Peaks,
And you paid for your food there?
yes, sir.
Did you drink there?
Possibly, yes,
How did you get to the squares?
I drove,
So after you drank at Twin Peaks, you drove to the square
yes,
with a prior intoxication assault.
yes,
You had money to pay for your drinks at the restaurant and at the bars.
yeah, yes, sir,
How many bars did you go to?
just the two,
And you don't recall how many drinks you had?
no, sir,
You just had quite a bit.
good amount. Good drink, yes,
You had indicated that, mentioned Uber. You know how Uber works, correct?
yes,
You could have gotten those services yourself.
yes,
You could have paid for them yourself.
yes. I was getting to that point, actually.
Why did you ask Josh if he minds if you just called your own Uber? You're a grown man, 32 years old with money and a phone. Why do you need a 20-year-old's permission?
I was getting to that point because he was trying to get me upstairs and not giving me an Uber. I was getting frustrated, that I was happening, so that was my next move.
Well, before you pointed the gun at you, why didn't you do that? You make that your next move.
I couldn't tell you.
Before you told them, hey, what are you gonna do with that? Why didn't you make that your next move?
I don't know.
Before you told them, hey, go ahead, if you're gonna do it, why didn't you make that your next move?
I'm not sure.
Very simple, right? You could have just called an Uber and been on your way. Right?
Sure.
You could have also just walked away. You could have ran away. Correct?
You could have shot me and come back there. I don't know.
But you didn't walk away. You were at his apartment complex.
Yes,
He wasn't doing anything illegal there. He wasn't engaged in any criminal activity out there with you. I was just out there in an awful place, correct?
yes,
And that Uber thing was several times. He also said, it's like, hey, I'll get my own Uber. I just need to get out of here. But you didn't get out of there, correct?
not fast enough.
What was so important to you that you wouldn't leave?
Nothing really, I didn't think it was gonna shoot me.
Because you had already measured them up and figured like, hey, I don't think this guy's gonna shoot me. I could get the jump on him.
Yes.
Now, we know we're at the apartment complex. Y'all were next to Josh's vehicle,
Yes.
keys towards the front, and you're towards the back or what?
No, okay, so. I guess the vehicle would be in a parking spot and then he would stand by the driver's, door. And then, there's a big spot over it, so I'm over here, not anywhere near the truck. He's standing right near the driver's door, so he's between me and the vehicle.
Okay. And Peyton is inside that vehicle.
Yes.
So the vehicle is parked forward in, right? Josh is towards the front driver's side. There's an empty parking space next to the vehicle. And you're saying you're in that parking space, that empty parking space in that area.
Yes.
And you've indicated kind of like around 6 feet, close range.
Something like that, yes, sir.
And Peyton is passed out in the park. Now Peyton was in the car during this whole argument, correct?
Yes, sir.
She was also in the car when the shot was fired.
Yes,
Y'all were out there for approximately half an hour.
approximately, yes.
You had enough time to consume several beers.
Yes.
Earlier, yesterday, you indicated that Josh was the first person you talked to at the bar. Would you be surprised that it was Peyton, the first person you talked to at the bar?
Yes, honestly, I would be surprised, but. Yeah,
You also knew that Josh was blind, legally blind, that he couldn't drive.
I didn't know it was that much until later on. And I can never share.
But you did learn that. That's information that you had.
Yes, we were talking, yeah. About that.
Now, you were getting along with the group, correct?
Yes,
Josh was trusting you with the group.
Yeah.
He allowed you to hang out with it,
yes,
with his friends and his fiance.
yes,
He allowed you to go to different bars with him.
yes,
He even took you out to the Vista to go out there and drink.
yes,
He allowed you to lead his wife through the street,
yes,
hand in hand.
yes,
He was trusting you with his wife, his fiance, you keep on saying wife, his fiance, and his friends, correct?
yes,
He allowed you to drive home. He trusted you to do that.
yes, yeah,
He trusted you not to invite you to go upstairs.
yes,
You were very helpful with tipping at the bars and everything. Correct? And then once you get to the apartment, all of a sudden, boom, you just stopped doing that.
they were. She was well intoxicated, there's no way I'm gonna help get her upstairs like that, I was ready to go. I really didn't even wanna drive them over there, honestly,
But you drove him over there.
I did,
You were ready to go, but you never left.
but not fast enough,
You hung out there for 30 minutes,
trying to get new yes.
but you never got an Uber.
I was,
You didn't do anything to try to get an Uber,
I was wanting to, yes,
but you never did.
not before I got shot, man.
Yeah, because instead of saying it like, hey, yo, man, this is a mistake, don't do it,
It wasn't,
I'm walking away, you didn't do that. Correct?
correct,
Instead, you said, like, hey, what are you gonna do with that? Right?
yes,
And then you told them, hey, go ahead, if you're gonna do it, right?
point out.
But you never did anything else to walk away from it. So now that you're at the apartment complex, and Judge has trusted you out through the night, he tells you that, hey, nobody touches my wife, right?
You didn't say that,
He didn't say that?
No.
He didn't say nobody messes with my wife?
all that,
Yeah, it's like that.
Yes. You may.
Your Honor, just for the record, I. So once again, you've been very helpful for the evening. With taking and everything, you get to the apartment complex. And then you stop being helpful. And then Josh tells me that, hey, nobody touches my wife, right? Yes. And that's when he changed, he snapped. Yes. At the hospital, you told the officer, hey, Josh thought you might have been messing with a woman, correct? Correct. You also told Campbell, like I said, he flipped. He flipped out on me. I don't know if he thought that in any way, shape, form, I was making a move on his woman.
And then after he asks that question, he was a different response.
Sustain.
Did you tell Officer Campbell that Josh flipped? Yes. Why did Josh flip? You need to have my memory refreshed again. Possibly. I'm not sure.
And I have to that question, whether it's speculation, if he doesn't look.
Sustain.
Did you think that Josh thought you were messing with his woman? And that's actually what things got serious. At that point. When he told you that. Yes. That's when he told you to leave. You told me to leave? Yes. I don't remember that. He told you to get away from them. I don't recall that. That's kind of when the argument started, isn't it? No. As soon as you got into the car, we know leaving the car, Josh showed you that gun. Yeah. Yes, sir. Where did he retrieve it from? My box. And with that, he let you know that he was able to take care of himself if he needed to, right?
he pulled the gun out, and then he asked me to pick a song, but
But he was also demonstrated to you that he had something to protect himself with if needed.
Yeah.
You didn't get out of the car even though you said you felt uncomfortable, correct?
no, I didn't.
People whom you had just met that are a lot younger than you feel uncomfortable, you have your own car, and you decide to continue.
Yes,
You had something else in mind.
you know. I don't know people who drag me on the didn't shoot me.
And you've indicated that you know what the gun is used for, correct? You told Campbell that that's only used for self-defense.
I'm sorry, he said,
That you told Detective Campbell that the gun is only used for self-defense.
I think he said that. Right, that's not really a question, but it's-
I'm sorry, since the last part.
It also goes to the question for the jury, and I'm not going to stop it.
Sustained.
General approach.
Sure.
whether or not.
So how's that really bad?
Hold on, I'm sorry.
What should be nice?
And it was looking like the question of kind of like,
You're gonna ask that question, but please make it tight.
Now, as far as in your mind, what's going on?
With regards to your views, a gun is only used for self-defense, correct?
Yeah,
You did not know how Josh came to have that gun once the argument started, correct?
I was being had it.
Yes.
Like I was saying, people in the glove box, not a head-on person.
But that's just it, you don't know. You could have pulled it from the glove box, you had it in this person, you just don't know, you just know he had a gun.
Yeah.
During this argument, for how long did Josh have the gun out?
The duration of the conversations.
He had it out?
Yeah.
And even though you had already been uneasy about the gun when you first got in, you're still uneasy about the gun now, you do nothing to leave.
I'm not sure.
And you testified yesterday in direct that you asked Josh, what are you gonna do with that, correct?
Yes.
And whenever you say that, you're referring to the handgun.
And
So you see him with the gun.
Yes.
And then you also testified in direct that you're gonna do it, just do it, correct?
Yes.
So then during the time that you see him with the gun, he's had it through the argument, you see him retreated, he's got it on you, you ask him, what are you gonna do with that? And then you wait a little bit more and you ask him, if you're gonna do something, do it, correct?
yes,
And so basically what you're saying is, you're just standing behind the car, standing there, hands down, with like, hey, what are you gonna do with it? No, not confrontational, not doing anything that would, cause alarm for Josh.
nothing I would call alarm, call them shooting, I was standing still, I was talking in common.
Sir, can you move that, one second, can you move that microphone closer to you? And you can tilt it down so that it's closer to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody's pointing a handgun at you at close range. Yes. And a handgun's only used for self-defense. And you're calm with that ordeal? Yes. You just didn't walk away, correct? No, I haven't. That's what it's showing.
Stay.
Thank you. I just want to talk a little bit more about them. Can you tell me the location where you showed the defendant your
It was at the Irish pub.
and that was the first part you went that night?
Yeah.
Now, were you a friend?
No,
Can you explain a little bit more exactly what you said?
just pull it out and show it when I did, this is my eye.
What was his response?
Looked at it, I mean, it wasn't really a big deal.
Did he appear concerned about the fact that you had him?
No, I mean, like I was saying, it's, you can see it visible, and, you know, it's very visible.
He said they had a conversation point before.
Yes,
Did you even continue hanging out with him after you showed me that night?
yeah, listen,
Did you go to multiple bars? You went to the Beast Steaks afterwards, is that right, in the apartment complex?
listen,
And did you also go to another bar after that?
listen,
And they also trusted you to drive them home after you had shown them that, is that right?
yes, ma'am.
Well, regarding why you didn't go, and did you have a vehicle with you when you were at the Milwaukee?
No,
Would you have had to have pulled out your phone in order to have ordered an Uber?
yes, ma'am. Not too long, I have to pull my phone out and open the app.
Minutes.
Probably take longer than 5 minutes, I imagine.
In the middle of this argument, where you had a gun pointed at you, did you have time to pull out your phone for 5 minutes and order it?
You know, kind of step it back in my mind, and yeah, the gun pointer on this, and I was still a little more concerned about that.
Do you feel like it would have been safe for you to take your eyes off the person and had a gun on you?
No,
You mentioned that you were at the apartment complex about 30 minutes, is that right?
yes, ma'am.
How long did the argument portion of this take place?
It was about half there, maybe a little bit more. Probably about like 20 minutes, at least 50 minutes or something.
From the beginning, you weren't getting along.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
and did something change?
Doesn't change it.
Do you know what?
I think exactly.
Now, you mentioned something or on cross-examination that the responsibility was about the defendant leaving you on that individual. You understand that?
Yes,
Did you do anything with your word or your action to give you that?
no,
Did you touch her at all when you were with her?
no,
Did you indicate that you were interested in her sexually while you were at the apartment complex? Were you talking about her while you were at the
no,
was the only person talking about Peyton the video?
yes,
friends and self-defense. Now, you did mention that the reason that you would believe that someone would carry a weapon is for self-defense, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
But you understand that weapons can be used for things that aren't self-defense, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what it is.
Fence?
So Josh trusted you until he could trust you no more, correct?
Sure, something happened, yes, that is, but something happened in his head from his perspective,
Where he felt you were messing with this woman, so you can no longer be trusted, correct?
something like that, yes.
You had time to walk away. You might have, right, but you didn't walk away, instead you escalated the circumstances. You told them, go ahead and shoot me if you're gonna do it, right?
I was trying to figure it out.
That's what asked me, but I don't really want to hear it.
Sustain.
That's what we were trying.
State,
No, this is-
may this witness be released.
no judgment.
I'm not kidding, Judge, we carry on.
All right, sir, you're free to go about your business, but if someone calls you, you may have to come back. You remain under subpoena. Thank you very much.
Judge, can we tender exhibit eight, which is the party admitted the medical records?
What do you mean? You've already offered it and it's been admitted.
Correct, can I just tender it to the court reporter?
You mean, can you just hand it to the court reporter? Yeah, you can. Thank you. All right, we're going to take our morning break. Each day we'll take a morning break and an afternoon break. So go take 15 minutes and we'll come back and get started again. Remember my instructions, don't talk about this case with anyone. That includes among you. You won't talk about this case until all 12 of you are together and you are deliberating. Also, don't text or tweet about it. Remember, all of that is to protect the integrity of the process. Thank you so much.
All right, for the jury.
Okay. Let's be back ready to go at 10:40. 15 minutes. And if you guys can get your next witness ready, is this going to be one of the videos? Okay, very good. Thank you. We're in recess.
All right, we'll come to order.
You can be seated. Thank you. You can bring in the jury. Want to bring up your next witness?
State calls Dr. Daniel Wells.
We'll do the very formal calling, but yeah, if you just want to come on up, man. We're not doing a hearing, are we? Oh,
Well, I know.
okay. You look ready to go. I like that. State is ready. Good.
The microphone over to me. Mr. Weaver. The microphone.
Yes.
And if you would go ahead and adjust yourself close to that microphone, it can get the bass moves and it moves up and down.
All right, for the jury.
You may be seated. State, please call your next witness.
The state calls Dr. Janet Welch. And Ms. Welch, can you please state the name and spell it for the record?
Hey. State threat. If we wouldn't mind rising for me. Can you raise your right hand? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you. You may be seated. If you would, please adjust yourself close to that mic so that it picks you up. She has her earphones on to hear you. Please tell us your name and spell it for the court reporter.
It's Jim, J-M-N, Welch, W-E-L-C-H.
State.
Thank you, Judge. Dr. Welch, I want to start with some of your education to get a position in mind today. So can you start with telling us your undergrad and graduate education?
Sure, I got a BA in International Relations and Spanish from American University in 1995.
And then what did you do after?
And then I went to medical school at the University of Virginia from 1997 to 2009.
After getting your MD, did you do any postdoc training?
Yes, I was positions prepared for the residency and extended residency at Louisiana State University Charity Hospital in New Orleans from 2001 to 2005.
After you finished residency, what did you do as a career?
I came here to Texas immediately 2005, fast and clear. And started working at University Medical Center at Breckenridge, which was the only trauma center in the region. Worked there until we opened Telson Medical Center at the University of Texas. And I taught there and opened until I decided to move into
And Seton Medical Hayes, what was your role at that hospital?
my role since I got there has been as assistant medical director in the emergency department, specifically for trauma services.
And when did you start that role? And are you still currently in that role?
Yes, 2019 and so role.
Did you just recently start a new job as well?
Also added the medical director of Seton Hospital.
Okay. In addition to your training and experience as a doctor, do you hold any professional memberships that might be relevant to your job?
I've been a member of American College of Emergency Physicians and board certified by the American Board of Emergency Medicine.
You mentioned that you were a faculty member at Dell Medical School for a number of years. What was your role there?
I was the assistant residency director for about 7 years.
And can you just briefly describe what that means?
That means that my job was to select and train the residents in emergency medicine, and then also any residents from other services such as general surgeries like psychiatry and internal medicine or ambulance that came through the emergency department.
It sounds like you spent most of your time in the emergency department. Would you say that that is your specialty?
That is my specialty. I only work in emergency.
Could you imagine working in ambulance? Dr. Welch, were you involved in with a patient by the name of Juan Carlos Rodriguez back in 2020?
Yes, I was the attending physician in the emergency department.
What does that mean?
That means that I was the only physician on during those hours, and that when he came in as a trauma patient, I was assigned to him as a physician, waited there at bedside for his arrival to report to the medics and managed his care in conjunction with the trauma surgery team.
How long was Juan Carlos Rodriguez at Seton Hayes?
He was there from May 22nd of 2020 until May 30th of 2020.
How many days is that? Now, when A trauma patient comes into the emergency department, you mentioned that you talk to the medics, why do you?
Well, we get a report from them to find out, the scenario, what they know about what happens on scene, and then how the patient has done, what injuries they found, and what interventions the medics have provided.
As part of your role as a emergency doctor and director, have you actually looked at medical records?
Yes. Every day.
Have you been able to look at and review the medical records in this case?
Yes.
Do you know about how many pages they are?
948.
Is that normal for a case like this?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because there's just so many people and so many intricacies involved in the care, and just from the emergency department standpoint, we have the records from EMF, we have the records that the emergency department nurse provides, and we have mine records that I write down, and they also have the trauma nurse practitioner, the trauma physician, and anyone, radiology reports, et cetera. And then the patient goes to the operating room, all of those reports from the urgent to the operating room, that's my most like he's in the ICU, every private sign, et cetera, until discharge.
And as a medical doctor, as an emergency room director, are you able to understand everything in those medical records?
The vast majority.
I want to go through and talk about some specifics of the medical records that have been admitted in this case, okay?
Thanks.
Which has been State's Exhibit 8. I want to start on page 34 of 948. As part of your job, do you sometimes have to review EMS records?
Yes.
EMS, what did they say was the injuries coming into the emergency department happening?
They know they had an injury to the chest, the anterior check wall, that he had a check wall pain, abdominal pain, and an injury to his right hand finger, something like that.
One of the words that you mentioned was anterior chest wall. What is that?
That is right here, the front of the chest.
Thank you. Zooming in just to show. Is this the area of those EMS records where we find those signs and symptoms?
Yes.
Moving on to page 42. What was the full extent of the chest wall and muscular cardial injuries that the patient presented with that night?
Based on my notes, there's a single gunshot wound right at the level of the sternum centrally, which means right in the middle, just that soft spot where the ribs come together.
And musculoskeletal?
There's a gunshot wound, injury to the distal left index finger, which means the very end of the index finger.
Distal meaning end?
Yes.
Okay. Other than those two, was there anything else noticeable on any other positions of the body that you needed to take note of?
No, there are no other external injuries noted.
So looking at what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 3, based on those incoming notes that night, is the injury that you see in the photo consistent with what was shown in the records?
Yes.
This being State's previously admitted 5A and 5B, is that distal fingertip injury?
Yeah.
Moving on to page 6 of 948, this was brought up earlier in trial, but how much did the victim, Juan Carlos Rodriguez, weigh the night of this incident?
I think it's 37 pounds.
And is it normal to take these vital signs anytime a patient comes into the emergency department?
Yes, it's just part of our standard vital signs, because we need to know how we those medications.
Thank you. I want to go on to page 23 through 25, the medical records. As a whole, what do these 3 pages show us?
These are CAT scan results, so basically shows all the radiology that was done, where we scanned him from head down to his pelvis to look and see where the trajectory of these bullets went, the bullets traveling, what injuries he sustained internally from the bullet.
And I think you just did a good job of explaining it, but why is that important to get CT scans in cases like this?
So we know if the patient needs to have an operation or not, and if he's in danger of life-threatening.
Let's walk through what those CT scans showed that night, starting with page 23. What does page 23 of the CT scan show about any of the trajectories?
Page 23 can show us where the bullet ended up. So that's a CT of his spine, and it shows us that there's a bullet fragment just anterior and to the left of the L2, L3 disc with adjacent soft tissue thickening and variancy. So it's telling us that the bullet landed next to his spine, just to the left. I think you like the disc.
Doctor, as an emergency department doctor that's also worked at a teaching hospital, using this diagram helps to explain kind of where we're talking about this parts and bodies.
Sure.
Can you kind of show us where that L2, L3 vertebrae is?
It might be easier, actually. Can I use that microphone?
You may.
You may.
If you would just speak up so that everyone can hear you.
On the side, these numbers correspond to spinal levels, so this is L2, L3, so we'll end up on the side right here. Here's the L2, L3 disc, so it's sitting right next to this. In the back, at his spine.
Going back now to page 24, let's talk about some of the internal organs that were affected by this bullet trajectory. Can you start by telling us what the findings of the CT scans on that area?
This is the CT of the chest, abdomen, and pelvis, so we're looking at the major organs. And the first thing we see is the subxiphoid gunshot wounds with gas and metallic fragments on the anterior chest wall. So that's the bullet going in just right here in the middle. And there's gas, air has gotten in there, and the bullets, as bullets do, kind of started to explode internally and put little pieces of metal along the front of the chest wall there. Then he has a laceration to the left hepatic lobe along the bullet trajectory, measuring 2.7 centimeters with small shrapnel fragments posterior to the left hepatic lobe and trace blood along the inferior liver margin. So when we say hepatic lobe, that's the left side of the liver. And so he's got a tract of 2.5 centimeters going through the liver there, and little pieces of bullet that are sitting sort of behind the liver, and there's a little bit of blood collected back there.
Doctor, can you step up and show us again on our diagram?
Okay, so the liver is this big guy here. Okay, there's a lot of work, and this is the left part. Okay, so basically bullet comes in here and then crosses down this way. So the blood will collect down here, and then when you crack down, you get a little bullet fragments. Today.
Thank you, Doctor. Jumping back
Yes.
from the liver, what happened with some of those other organs?
The next thing they note is the GI tract, which is when we talk about intestines. And it's like small punctate shrapnel fragments are seen posterior to the body of the stomach. So little pieces of bullet behind the stomach. And a punctate shrapnel fragment is seen along the small bowel loops with the left abdomen anterior to the left renal vein. And a large 2 centimeter shrapnel fragment is seen anterior to the left psoas muscle at the level just inferior to the left renal vein. And there's some free air and small amount of hemorrhage. Okay, so that means like bullets going down through the bullet pieces, I should say, going down through the intestines, around the stomach, around the renal vein, and towards a muscle that's backed by the spine. And there's air down there and there's breathing down there. So, can I go back up?
Yes, Doctor, I was just about to say, do you want to go back up and show us the fragment?
And so what this picture doesn't show is all the intestines sitting over these organs. So these are the big solid organs. but intestines kind of wrap around all through here. So basically coming down, instead from the xiphoid to sitting down here and, you know, it's the stomach, which you can't see over here, but it sits in this area and then hits intestines and settles down around the psoas, mostly down in this area. And then here's the kidney and the veins that sort of connect, the veins and arteries that connect the kidney to the aorta and the major aorta, that's right here in the major vein.
Thank you, Dr.
Sure.
And moving on to the last impression from the CT scan on those pages, what do you learn on page 25?
So that we gunshot wound appeared to traverse the left hepatic lobe and left abdomen with the bullet seen anterior to the left psoas muscle, liver injury consistent with grade 2 laceration. So it's just, you know, summarizing that the gunshot wound went in just kind of below his sternum there and went through the liver and the left abdomen and the bullet sitting just in front of that left psoas muscle next to the spine. And there are different grades of liver injury, 1 through 5, or 1 through 6, and this is a grade 2. And the he says pneumoperitoneum is present, which means there's air going down in and around the intestines, which can cause infection. Bowel injury is not excluded. There isn't. That's just something that's very hard to see on a CT scan. So you're concerned that intestines could be injured. And then there's punctate shrapnel fragments seen along the bullet path as detailed above. Potential punctate bullet fragments are seen within the dependent pelvis. So there's a bullet fragment going down all through the area.
So again, doctor, based on where that bullet wound started, is that track with what the medical records were showing?
Yes.
So moving on to page 3 of 948. Talk specifically about the main injuries that they listed. All those injuries are they present with what was talked about based on the CTs?
Yeah, based on the CT scan, also based on the operative reports.
And we're going to get to that next, actually. So underneath the injury list, they actually list out the procedures and the dates that happened in the care of Juan Carlos. Can you in you know the most layman terms that you can, since we don't have medical degrees, explain to us what those procedures actually meant in this case?
Sure. The first surgery that we had was on 5/22, and it's called an exploratory laparotomy. And basically, it's to go explore the abdominal cavity and look and see what is injured that we might have missed from CAT scan and where all the lesion is coming from. So an incision's made from right here, that's run down like towards the top of the pelvis. And then the surgeon goes in and looks at all the major organs and then looks at every piece of bowel all the way down through the abdomen to see if there's any spots where the bowel itself has been injured. And it looks like on that exploratory laparotomy, they ended up having to repair the anterior and posterior gastric arteries, which are 2 blood vessels that supply the stomach. And then it's a mobilization of the distal duodenum and repair duodenal injury. So that shows me the first part of the small intestine was injured with a gunshot wound and they had to repair that. And then a small bowel resection, part of the intestine that was so injured that they just had to cut it out entirely and take it away forever. And then a repair of sigmoid injury, which is like the colon almost down by the rectum, that had to be sewn shut. And then at that point, they knew that they would probably have to go in and look for leaking again later, so they put on what's called a vacuum.
Continue to explain that.
Yeah, I mean, it means that they know their work isn't done, they're worried about infection, they're worried about more bleeding, they want to suck out infection and bleeding, so they put like on the vacuum device on the abdominal wall that sucks all of that stuff out. So this abdomen was not closed at this point.
And let's move on to the second procedure. It looks like also on May 22nd. What did they do later that day?
Yeah, so this looks like they went back to double check that things were doing well inside the abdomen and that more bleeding wasn't occurring. So they went back and explored the abdomen a second time later in the day, so they had further concerns. And they put 2 pieces of bowel back together, the duodenum and the jejunum that they had sewed together. and patch part of it, and then, what is it, fascia, which is like a layer over all of the muscles, and then put the wound back on, so it looks like they went back in, they tied some intestines together and then said, okay, looks like there's not any further bleeding, we can close another layer, put the vein back on, and we think we're gonna be okay after this.
And the third time he went to surgery on the 5/3, why did you do that?
That's called delayed primary closure of the hospital incision. That was to take off the wound vacuum and then close the skin and, you know, subcutaneous, the layers under the skin. So they could go home with just staples.
And doctor, were you able to review kind of the surgical notes from this case?
Yeah.
Was there anything that you noticed in those, just general surgery notes from the medical records, that we didn't already go over in the procedures?
No,
This is from that same page, 34, talk about hospital reports. Anything, that we need to point out from you, that just gives the general review?
double check. And just that he was in the types of carry on and all the variables, you know, all of these surgeries.
And so now that we've kind of walked through, the specifics about what had happened in the hospital, I kind of want to ask you just some general questions.
Sure.
I'm assuming this was not the first gunshot injury you've using before, is it normal for, bullets to break up, when they enter the body?
Yes.
Do they always do that?
They put them on a bullet, like maybe certain things are going to, but that's what they're made to do. This is how they cause more damage by exploding and hitting as many things as possible.
As a medical doctor, what were some of the most serious injuries that he suffered from that gunshot?
That liver laceration, those can be potentially very dangerous, and then to bowel injuries, and so like 3 of them, and the risk of infection there is really high, for, you know, develop sepsis and.
Have you seen before where the initial gunshot wound does not injure someone, does not kill somebody, but further infection from a wound does?
Absolutely.
And this might seem a bit of a overstatement, but was this a serious injury?
This is a very serious.
Um,
I would have documented, I would have put him in a category of critical.
what are the levels, I guess, that hospitals use when, I guess, ranking patients on the severity scale?
Stable, guarded,
Critical, are those the ones that are, I guess, normally we would say they're in the ICU?
those are the people at risk of life-threatening injury.
Thank you, Doctor. I do want to talk about one more page on these medical records, which is the serum toxicology page. Did you review this as well?
Yes.
What is serum toxicology?
This is basically looking for, drugs or, you know, we've been when we're looking at Tylenol levels, alcohol levels, aspirin levels, and antidepressant levels, because these are different things that can be dangerous and patients bloodstream, and then also drugs and abuse.
I noticed that the ethanol levels are bolded. Why is that?
Because they're higher than 0.
And what is that level?
This alcohol level is 227 on arrival.
And for the of us that don't work in the hospital, what does that mean?
That is alcohol like a 0.22 level, if you're familiar with it, like a legal to drive, it's sort of 0.08. So he was clinically intoxicated with alcohol.
Now, as a doctor, can you tell us exactly what that means as to whether a person can function or not at that level?
No, this just gives us a reading of his bloodstream, of what's in his bloodstream. But it affects different people differently, different levels.
Does things like height, weight, tolerance to alcohol, whether they have drink all affect that?
Yes.
Doctor, that's all that I have on my PowerPoint. Were there any other points when you were reviewing the medical records that you think the jury needs to know about this? Yes, Your Honor, one of the question.
Rephrase.
Doctor, do you believe that there are any other aspects of the injury that we did not cover, that you believe the jury needs to know that?
No.
Possible witness, Your Honor.
Vince?
Good morning, Doctor. Just with regards to that, 227, on the toxicology, that was toxic.
Yes, it's an abnormal level.
Abnormal level.
Anything over 0 is considered an abnormal level.
And according to the range that you have down there at the bottom, is 150 to 350 is toxic.
That's what is considered a lab toxic, yes.
And 3 hours later, he was still kind of high. He's still at 131, correct?
Yes.
Thank you, Doctor. That's what it is.
No redirect, can this witness be excused?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You're free to go about your business. State, call your next witness.
Jenny Richard.
Raise your right hand for me. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Please have a seat. If you would adjust that microphone close to you so that it picks up your voice. If you would, we'll practice. If you tell me your name and spell it for the court reporter.
Eugene AAwDW, EUDENIO, last name CHAVARRA.
State.
Hey, Karen. Back in May of 2020. Back in May of 2020, can you tell me where you lived?
I lived the apartment complex, I remember calling it, it was one wall drive, across the roads.
But compared to you is the name of Blasio.
Oh,
Does that ring a bell?
yes,
Now, did you have any neighbors that you had seen at that location?
yes,
Did you know what their names were, or did you just know them by?
just needed my face.
Now, in relation to someone that you saw on May 22nd of 2020, where did you live in that apartment? First floor, second floor?
First floor.
Okay. And let's talk about what happened that night on May 22nd. So where were you then?
In bed,
Was anyone with you?
yes, my ex-girlfriend,
And what were you doing?
sleeping,
Did you get woken up that night?
listening,
And what did you wake up to?
to me it sounded like arguing. Just based on the tone.
And can you explain that in a little bit more detail?
Well, I don't know if I was restless that night or not, maybe I was connected to that noise specifically, but when I woke up, that's what I heard, just kind of loud talking.
And what did you do when you heard the loud thing?
I just picked up the window and see if everything was okay. Did so, I saw two individuals facing each other talking.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk for something there. So what window are you looking
Bedroom.
at? And does that give you a clear view to the outside of the apartment parking lot?
With those parties, but
Who all did you see?
just two individuals, one I believe was one of the group upstairs.
And did you recognize the other individual?
No,
Could you describe just in general what he looked like? Do you recall whether or not he was white, Hispanic, something else?
no,
Did you see anything in the meetings about it?
not that I can think of. But it's been a while.
Did you see a gun?
No,
Did you see the facial expressions?
no,
Approximately what time of day or night was this?
It's, about 30, 39,
Was it dark outside?
this man.
Do you remember seeing an email that you were talking about? Can you tell the jury where those individuals that you could see were?
They were by the cardboard. Not underneath it, but on the outside. The office building.
So were they under the cardboard?
No,
Were they close to you guys' apartment, carport, and then the parking lot? So where were they in relation to that?
so here's my apartment. Loads of here the residence, and then over here is the office building. So my apartment, the other office building. Carport right here, and office building there, they were on the right hand side of the carport on the outside of the.
Does that mean that they're in the parking lot or are they in the park? About how far away from them each got over?
Maybe a couple feet.
Were they standing in one place or moving?
Standing.
When we were watching these two individuals outside of the bedroom window, was this a verbal argument or a physical argument?
Looked like a.
Did you see anyone hit, punch, shoot anyone in that room?
No.
So after you look at your video, you hear this argument. Can you tell, how loud they were talking from the other?
I can't really explain the loudness of it, but it was loud enough to where you would assume that it was a heat argument. Or
Could you tell which one of were they both talking loudly or what?
I could tell you,
Did you make out at all what was being said?
no, even if I did, it's been 4 years, so.
So what did you do after you saw all that outside your window?
Well, I laid down and then I go back to bed.
What happened after that?
Heard a loud sound that sounded like a gunshot, so I went to the dining room area where we had a different window to go see what it was.
Now, how long after, whenever you looked out the window, you went back to bed? Or how long after you left the window did you hear what sounded like a gunshot?
Maybe a minute or less.
When you made it all the way back to bed, whenever you heard it,
There's that.
when you looked up a second time, without going into what was said, what did you see? Did you see your neighbor at all after that?
I heard a bunch of arguing by the stairwell.
So what did you?
I think there would be people like you involved. Two individuals. Each other, one being louder than the other, there sounded to be a female voice at the time, but
Did you see where they were at that point?
no, but when I got close to the door. Or trying to open, I want to say. So.
You can't get into anything that other people said.
Okay,
So what did you do and what did you use?
I had to go see what was going on, I kind of recall speaking to the little people, and I heard a female voice yelling at a male individual. I don't know if it was my neighbor upstairs, I can't remember the face. sounded like she was in disbelief, but that he did,
And what was the demeanor of the man? Not what he said, but what was his demeanor?
speeches. Disbelief.
Did you talk to the police that night and tell them what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you also write that down and give a written report?
Oh, I'm sure I did.
Did it easy for you to use your things outside of the apartment? You were called.
I would say so. It was late at night, so it was probably why we was the right way.
You may.
Can you talk about from memory if you were able to review the copy of your written statement? And you could read that to yourself, not read it out loud. Is that reflecting on memory regarding the time that the officers were talking to the location or that you heard the gunshot? And approximately what time?
At 1:30,
In the morning or afternoon?
9.
Have a witness.
Vince,
Chevalier, good morning. Mr. Chevalier, my name is Susan Neidhardt. I represent Mr. Joshua King. I'm just gonna ask you a couple of questions. If they're not here, please let me know and I'll clarify. If you don't understand, I'll do the same, okay?
So,
Mr. Chevalier, does your phone number still end in 4673?
yes, sir.
It does. And your email addresses are still J_Chavarria10 @ how about Broncos_7710?
Yeah.
Yes,
hold. But it's okay. When there's an objection, just wait for me to rule on it and then we'll let you know if you can.
did you receive, no,
Hold on. You have an objection.
No, I got you know, but I don't think it's appropriate to be going into all of this. Witnesses as information.
It's the same.
did you receive my communication, Mr. Chevalier?
I use about more different emails, obviously, I work one that I have now, so. I have about 40-something thousand other emails, maybe more.
And how about with regard to that phone number? The message that I left for you, do you receive that?
But I can't recall, I have about 400 something different missed calls as well, along with the voice calls. The gentleman had every one. But I don't have service where I wouldn't, so. I can't say yes or no.
Very enough, very enough. And you were subpoenaed on this case?
Correct.
The subpoena had my information on there with my phone number, right?
Not true.
May I approach you?
You may.
You're going to do that, you can't recall, I'm sorry.
You and I have never talked before, correct?
Not that I know.
And what you do remember about May 22nd of 2020 is that two men were in a very heated argument. Correct?
I would assume so based off of the time frame that happened and, you know, allow.
Do you know approximately how long that argument was going on?
But before it went good or after?
After you woke up, because before you were asleep, you slept.
Yeah. Um.
And the two individuals were by the vehicle at the carport.
I don't know if they're by a vehicle, but they're by a car.
And you indicated on the right side, that is on your right side as you're looking out your apartment, correct?
Is it?
They would be, if they're looking towards your apartment, they would be on the left side of that vehicle, that carport.
They would be between the carport and the, office building, putting outside the carport.
Very nice. You indicated that, Mr. King was speechless and in disbelief.
Oh, good.
You indicated earlier that Mr. King was speechless and in disbelief according to your observation.
Speechless would be something that you use. But like I said, it's been over 40 years, but I can't recall that thought in my head of knowing, at that moment, knowing that's what it came off as. At first thought thinking about it.
You also had a blank stare of 40 years, right? Do you remember?
Waits there as I believe the wife, girlfriend, partner, whoever it was yelling at him.
That's a witness, Sean.
State,
I'm sorry.
No, I just want
may this witness be released? Vince,
Yes, Sean.
thank you, sir. You're free to go about your business. You can leave it right there. State, please call your next witness.
State calls SPD Officer Scott.
Your name again? Scott.
SCOTT.
Raise your right hand, please. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please have a seat. If you would, adjust yourself close to that microphone, however you're comfortable to sit, and then you can get the microphone. Probably about a fist between you and the mic is the best. And if she has on headphones, and so she can hear everything better when it goes through. If you would, please tell us your name and spell it for the court reporter.
My name is Tony Scott, TONYSCOTT. I'm a police officer with the city of San Marcos.
State,
Thank you, Judge. Officer Scott, how long have you been a police officer?
I've been a policeman here in San Marcos for 17 years.
Is this the first police department you work for?
As a police officer, yes, sir.
What does it take to become a police officer at the San Marcos Police Department?
We start off with the police academy, which can be anywhere from 8 months to a year long. Once you finish that program, then you go into a law enforcement agency where you do a field training program, where you can last anywhere from, I would say, 4 to 6 months.
Were you able to do a training program with the San Marcos Police Department?
Yes, sir.
Did you successfully complete it?
Yes, sir.
Did you successfully complete the police academy?
Yes, sir.
When you joined SMPD, you said you've done it for 17 years. What are the roles that you have at SMPD over the years?
I worked in the patrol division for the majority of that time period. Just answering calls for service. They come in every day and just random calls, from promoting up to corporal and now sergeant, now in charge of the school resource division. And
Back in May of 2022 or 2020, what was your role at St. Martin's Police Department?
I was a patrol officer.
As part of that role, you mentioned that you do calls for service.
Yes, sir.
How do calls for service come in?
They usually come in through our dispatch center. They come in on the administrative line or the 911 system. Sometimes we will drive along and find something or, like a car crash or disabled vehicle or someone will flag us down.
Were you working back on May 22nd, 2020?
Yes, sir, well,
And were you called for call for service about a gunshot back in?
yes, sir.
Do you remember how that call came in?
I don't recall how it came in. I don't believe they typically tell us that they're on the phone through 911. They just say that there's a call for service and depending on the level of priority is how we put them on,
Do you remember where you dispatched to that night?
to the law departments.
Your Honor, can I approach the witness with State's Exhibit 9 to 11?
Yes.
Officer Scott, what did I just hand you?
These are maps of the apartment. It starts off at the city and then it zooms into the entire apartment complex and then the front entry of the apartment complex along with where the incident occurs.
As a police officer here in the city for 17 years, are you familiar with maps of San Marcos?
Yes, sir.
And are you familiar with where this apartment complex is in San Marcos?
Yes.
Are those maps that I just showed you fair and accurate representations of what the city of San Marcos and that apartment complex look like?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, at this time, states offers states 9 through 11.
No objection, Your Honor.
State's Exhibit 9 through 11 are admitted.
And Your Honor, can I publish to the jury? Can I publish to the jury?
Yes.
Officer, while I get this pulled up, can you tell us the address to that apartment complex?
It's 1011 Wonderful Drive.
Where is that in comparison to where we are right now?
If you go out here to Wonderworld, which is the main street, one of the main streets in town, and go up to B35, it would be the apartment complex under that. Next to New Nation.
So showing you states exhibit 9, what is this depicting?
That's a zoomed out image of the city of San Marcos. Not the entire city, but a good portion of it.
So if you follow where my laser pointer is going, what part of San Marcos is this?
That's the downtown area.
And what is this road right here that's going, I guess, from the northeast corner to the southwest corner?
That's Interstate 35.
Okay, and way down here, is this where the apartment complex would be?
Yes, they recently changed the name of it, but it's. I believe they call it the Atlantic or Columbia.
So moving on to states exhibit 10, what are we saying now?
That's a zoomed in image of the entire complex.
Where's the entrance to this apartment complex?
They have 3 entrances, so the main entrance is right where your laser pointer is.
Right here.
Yes, sir.
Do you know where the other entrances are?
There's one on Leah Avenue, which is gonna be down to your right there, and then there's another one back on San Marcos Parkway at Del Sol, which is further to your left.
Do you know where the apartment in the apartment complex is?
It's right where the little pin drop is with a.
Right where this red pin drop is?
It's, yes, sir, inside that building. Or that's where we were, is around that building.
And do you know where the office was at this apartment complex?
It's where the blue,
This blue pin drop is?
yes, sir.
On states exhibit 10?
Well, yes.
States exhibit 11, what is this depicting?
It's a more zoomed in image of the same area.
And the building that has the red pin drop on it, is that the building that the apartment collection, we're talking about?
I believe so. I didn't go to that impact department. I stayed in the parking lot, which was outside of that building.
Sure, so let's actually talk about where you spent your time in this parking lot then. When you were dispatched to this apartment complex, where did you go?
I was initially right where the laser pointer is, and then we went into the gate. So I was in that parking lot, mainly just inside the gate was my initial contact.
Did you ever see the victim in this case?
Yes, sir.
Where was he when you made contact?
He was lying face down, just on the other side of or he was down and then went, face down on the other side of the gate.
And was the entry gate that you're talking about around right here?
Yes, sir.
Do you know where the shooting actually took place in this case?
I don't know where it was. I can tell you where casing was located, so that should be in the approximate area unless it was skipped.
Yeah, well, whatever you know, that's what we want to make sure that you tell the jury. So if you know where the casing was, where was that?
Underneath the covered, there's a covered parking view right in that area.
So the casing was found under here and the victim was found at the front gate.
Yes, sir.
Officer, Scott, do you wear a body cam, while working for the San Marcos Police Department?
Yes, sir.
And can you explain to us why that is?
It's just better source of unbiased. It has, there's nothing to hide when you have a camera out there. The speech is recorded accurately. Everything you see is recorded accurately. It actually becomes very helpful for us when we go back and do our reports, or if we miss something, we go back and review the body camera just to see exactly what happened. In case there's at a scene like this, there's so much going on. That sometimes you see something, but you don't really take note of it, like in a photograph. You may notice, hey, there's people back there, but you may not notice, like the person in the back row has glasses on there. Where if you have a chance to review that later on, if that becomes a pertinent question, you can say, yes, it's there, I saw it. You know, they didn't necessarily take note of it, but it appeared like them.
Were you wearing a body camera the night of this incident?
Yes, sir.
Was it operating correctly?
Yes.
Do you have it on for the relevant portion that you were after the partner?
Yes.
Can we able to review that body camera before coming to trial today?
Yes, sir.
And that body camera video that you reviewed, was it a fair and accurate depiction of the scene, people, and events that took place on May 22nd?
The portion that I was involved in, yes, sir.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness with State Exhibit 12.
Okay.
And officer, that CD that I handed you is, you've been able to review that CD?
Yes, sir.
And is that, include the body in the you're talking about today?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, at this time, offers State's Exhibit 12 into evidence.
No objection, Your Honor.
State Exhibit 12 is admitted.
Your Honor, can be published to the jury.
You may.
Your Honor, while I do that, can I also publish 9 through 11 to the court?
You may.
Flying from 00. I'm gonna stop real quick. Why was there no audio at the beginning of that?
There's a 3-minute recorder on these cameras that catches the video portion, but not the audio portion, by design for the first 30 seconds. This activation, the camera activates multiple different ways, and this activation, when I activated my emergency lights, so it'll go on 30 seconds and start there. It's not gonna open that way. Is this a window? Okay, y'all, hold on, y'all react here. You guys just hold on. All right, you know what, you got ambulance on the way, you just gotta verify who's who, okay, now? All right, whatever you shot at, keep working. You got her, no contact, hold on. I got it. See, hey, what you do? Okay. Keep it out.
Stopping at 144, Officer Scott, why are you putting on close?
He has been shot, and you can see that there was some blood visible. That's
Standard procedure.
yes.
What are you shot at, bro?
Give me a line,
Where's your flash? And this is important, Officer Scott, what did you just do then?
I removed a knife from a sheet that was on the roof.
Was the sheet, closed in any way?
I'm pretty certain it was, I pulled it out, it took me a minute to get it out in 2 hands, so I know that it was.
So the knife that the defendant had on him was still sheathed at this point?
Yes.
That other thing that was just for hit the ground, you know what that was?
I believe that was what's called a coup baton, or it's a little baton, to be used as a window punch, to be used as a striking instrument.
I think earlier in today's trial, we've heard the term tactical pen, could it be described as that as well?
I don't remember if it had a pin feature, but they do conceal them in that one.
Looking at the sheet that we see on the victim's body, does it look like there is a clasp to that sheet?
There is usually.
Fall over toward me? We don't need him outside here. No, right here? Yeah. Andrew, I got a kid right here, I got a kid right here, okay, let's get married. Okay, and you're gonna get these cars out of the way. That's my car. What is the plan right now with the victim?
So we're doing what's called the law enforcement evaluation model. The reason we're doing that is because the suspect in this is being contained by officers and being dealt with. Essentially, we're holding him at gunpoint, giving commands. We have someone that's injured, so we need to make sure it's so early in the investigative stage, we're just trying to mitigate injuries and custody at this point. So one team of officers is focusing on what what's going to be the suspect, and the other team is focusing on these victims.
Where are you planning on taking the victim at this time?
So in this, the original plan was to load them up in the back of our police car, because we don't want to put medics and fire in this danger zone. This is called the hot zone. So we want to move them either across the street or about a block away, and then we would transfer them over to EMS. Just because of the nature of his injury, it's not anything I can compress, or put a bandage on the stop. He needs immediate care.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I got it right here. I got right here. Yeah, he's not working on it. You come in and start and we're gonna put him in. Get out of here. Yeah. Police. You got it. Now, man. You know. I got it. Your post? There's no. No. It needs backwards. Welcome back. I got some. You got the one back. You got it. That's good. You're good. You're good. Robert Venus said, "No, one was in the finish." All right.
Okay, so can you explain why you shot Ben?
So in this situation, as far as law enforcement is concerned, we have what's called a hot zone. So we have, unknown suspect or suspects not contained or in custody. So the idea is to get the victim out from medical care urgently. As we're working this, the team of officers, there's multiple things going on all at once, as you can hear everybody yelling. So the team of officers that were taking him into custody were able to successfully take him into custody without issue. At the same time that my group of officers was evacuating them. So we were able to say, hey, this is no longer a hot zone. We can start scaling down our urgency and work on getting him care a little bit faster instead of us going to EMS, have EMS come up to us. So we're trying to, as you can imagine, it takes a little bit of time to get that coordinated. Because we want to push over to the EMS channel, so we're able to fly down the ambulance. Who originally was sent down the street, and now they're coming back, so we were able to offload them from my control car into the ambulance.
And for the record, we stopped at 419 and we'll finish the video.
Take him out that time? Yeah. Yes, buddy. Okay. Let's go. Yes, let's go.
Officer Scott, after assisting with getting the individual to EMS, did you do any other evidence collection or anything else happening?
So we started setting up a crime scene, putting up the yellow police on tape. I assisted with that and then kind of maintaining control of what was going on. Once it, at the point it takes, I would say 45 minutes to go because we start getting our investigators coming in to their home sleeping. So getting them up and coming into work so they can start helping to investigate this crime. So I stayed on scene maintaining that, we call scene security. And then at some point we start canvassing the area, seeing what we could find, and that's when I located the shelter.
And this scene security that you set up, is that to make sure that everything that's already on scene stays on scene?
Yes, sir. And then no one comes into the scene.
And did you maintain scene security until other officers came to do evidence collection?
Yes, sir.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Vince,
Officer Scott, my name is David Watts. I represent Joshua King.
Mr. Watts. You have to use your microphone.
Sorry. I have a few questions for you. If I ask a question in a way that's confusing or you don't understand what I'm saying, could you let me know?
Yes,
And would it be fair to assume that if you answer the question, you believe you have an understanding of what I'm asking, correct?
yes, sir.
You've been a police officer for how many years?
17.
And you're familiar with the use of force policies in the San Marcos Police Department?
Yes, sir.
And you would agree with me that when it comes to use of force, I think the police officers involved.
Objection, Your Honor, relevance, this is not a use of force case involving police.
Sustained.
Policy and dangers are relevant.
well, sustained. You may ask your next question. Let's make it relevant.
You would agree with me that self-defense is viewed from the perspective of the defendant.
Objection, Your Honor.
Using force.
Improper legal opinion, this is a question to the jury, this is not a legal expert.
Sustained as to the form of that question.
You receive training on when a person becomes a danger to you as far as proximity.
Yes,
And when you're dealing with people who are on beat, at what range does a person become a danger?
there's so many factors that when we go into that. So I couldn't give you an actual difference. I know initially when I started in law enforcement, depending on the weapon, they used to have a caveat of like a 21-foot rule. That's not existed anymore.
What was the 21-foot rule?
21 feet was around the time someone could cover the distance, armed with an item before you could draw your knife, or I'm sorry, before you could draw your weapon. To take action.
Yes,
As I understand it, the 21-foot rule, and I think you just articulated it, is the amount of distance it takes for a person to close you on you to where you would have a chance to defend. That accurate?
That was the theory before they've since changed that.
What is the rule now?
I don't think there's an actual measurement of time, measurement of distance. I would have to go research it. We changed some of that stuff and alerts working all the time and adjusting that stuff.
Approximately how far am I away?
I'd say you're close to 20 feet.
I'm a big guy, right?
This
Smaller person, say somebody 100, 150 pounds, they may be quicker than me. Do you agree with that?
slightly, but not, the 21 feet is not in that distance, you're gonna cover about the same time.
So if you knew that I had a knife, would you identify this as a safe distance?
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation at this point.
Goes to the reasonableness of the use of force.
We're talking about a rule that's no longer.
sustained.
Do you believe I will be a danger to you at this distance?
If you were, it depends if you're standing or charging.
What about now? Could I be a danger to you?
Yes, sir.
Approximately how far am I away?
I would say you're just shy of 20 feet, probably not 17.
How far would you say I am from you now?
About 15.
Would I be a danger?
It depends, there's so many factors to say danger or not danger. One is, are you currently, I'm sorry. You want me to just answer yes or no, or?
No, please expound.
Okay. So if you're carrying the knife, you know, just on you, like an officer has a gun in his holster, some people perceive that as a danger, and that's all on perception. That is not a danger, but if I actively had my weapon out and pointed your direction, or in my hand, if we're talking of a knife in a manner like this, that would be more of an imminent danger versus in your pocket.
If you had your gun drawn on me and I'm continuing to close on you, would you consider that cause for alarm?
Yes, sir.
Why?
Because you're really close and coming out there and
What if I don't have the knife in my hand? I have it behind my back.
if I don't know it's there, if it's behind your back or. So if I don't, if you're just approaching me, then I would, then not knowing that there's a knife on you and you're approaching me, say in a hostile manner, I would not draw a weapon. I would just work on either a useful, a less lethal option or just go with hands on it.
What about if you knew I had a knife on me?
If it was on you and not being displayed, it's still a level of concern. But not necessarily something I'd probably still, everything's all relevant, so your demeanor, if you're agitated coming at me, I would try to distance myself and keep that distance great. Maybe put an object in peanuts. If you're not actively exposing the weapon, I probably would not draw my weapon at you.
Okay. How far would you say I am from you now?
About 6 feet.
How quickly would a person with a weapon be able to cause you harm at this distance?
Very,
Would you consider that a threat to you?
depends on the demeanor of everybody, what's going on.
What if you're pointing your gun at me and I'm telling you things like, go ahead, do it? Would you consider that a threat, something for alarm?
As a police officer, no.
Okay, so if somebody's taunting you to tell them to shoot, you to shoot them, you would not consider that an indication of a threat?
If I don't have any more than that, no, sir.
Okay, what about if you know I have not?
If you have it actively out, yes.
Okay, what about a coup d'etat?
If you have it actively out,
And that's based on your training and experience, correct? For the benefit of the jury, would a buck knife about 6 inches long be capable of being used as a deadly weapon?
yes,
Could it be used in the commission of a sexual assault?
yes,
Could it be used in the commission of murder?
yes,
Could it be used in the commission of an aggravated robbery?
yes.
A coup d'etat, what is that commonly used for?
It's an impact type of weapon. It can be used for pressure points. It can be used for strikes. I've never actually seen someone use one. It's kind of more of a self-defense type of weapon. It's not an active aggression type of weapon.
Can a coup d'etat be used to control another person's movement?
If it's, I would say so, depending on their level of like, how they perceive that.
Can a coup d'etat be used as a stabbing weapon?
It's pretty blunt in the aspect of like actual penetration, but if you hit a soft target area, such as like your eye or in your mouth, then that's.
Can a coup d'etat be used as a criminal instrument?
Yeah.
Breaking out windows to get into cars, things like that.
Yes.
Can a person's hands or body be used to cause serious bodily injury to another person?
Yes, sir.
Do you think if the victim or intended victim was physically impaired or visually impaired, that would make them more vulnerable to an assault?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
If you were visually impaired, would that impact your ability to defend yourself?
Yes, sir.
If a person is unconscious, would that affect their ability to defend themselves?
Yes, sir.
In the state of Texas, to the best of your knowledge, can a person legally have sex with someone who's unconscious?
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
Relevance is she was in the back seat of the car, and his fear was she was gonna be sexually assaulted. And the evidence has established that she was passed out.
There is no evidence that any sexual assault was ever going to happen that night, or was even attempted. We've heard nothing of that yet. It's irrelevant.
Sustained.
If you were told you were gonna be sacrificed to God, would that cause you concern that something may happen to you?
I would probably distance myself from whoever's talking.
And if they kept coming towards you, how would that make you feel?
I would definitely take actions to get away from that person, so if they're not respecting your verbal wishes to back off, then I would make an overt effort to back away from them.
Why would you give verbal commands to the person to back off?
Gauge their level of compliance. Sometimes just telling somebody one thing it'll make them do it, or they'll comply voluntarily.
And if they ignore your directive to back off and keep coming towards you, does that make them a greater threat?
Yes.
If a person keeps coming towards you and they manage to take your gun away from you, what concerns does that cause you?
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
Sustained.
Can a weapon taken from an individual be used against that individual?
Yes.
Does a person's vision interfere with or affect their ability to defend themselves?
Objection, Your Honor, vague.
Overruled.
Speculation.
I'm sorry, what was the second?
Vague and speculation.
Sustained.
Officer, when it comes to questioning witness or actors after an alleged crime has occurred, is it important to talk to them immediately afterwards or wait a day or two? What do you find works best?
Depends on the level of the crime, immediately is always best.
Do you believe it is important to get statements from any witnesses?
Yes.
Why is it important to do it then as opposed to waiting a month or a year or not at all?
The availability of everybody. Sometimes if you have the identification of a witness coming back to them and then meeting up to gain that statement can be difficult.
That's what
State.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Watts got up and did a demonstration, so I thought I'd do the same thing. When I handed these headphones, pretend it's down. That's in your hand. And I'm standing here with a beer, couple feet away from you. Who's the one that could be threatening in that situation?
The person that,
Now, let's say that I had a knife and a Kubaton in my back pocket that was clasped up. You still potentially a threat to me?
Objection, Your Honor, speculation.
The same.
If I'm holding the beer as an officer, you had your gun, would you think I'm a threat?
Objection, speculation.
The same.
We're standing having an argument. I'm holding the beer. Would you, as a rational person, think that I'm a threat?
Objection,
Judge,
speculation.
they were able to go into basic questions like that.
They objected on the same thing it was granted.
What's the question?
If I'm standing here with a beer and we're having an argument, would you perceive me as a rational person as a threat? You did allow them to go into questions like that, and I want him as a police officer.
Overruled.
Well, I'm standing with a beer in my hand. You've got a gun in yours. You're a rational person. Am I a threat?
I would say no.
Possibly.
What about a rational person who knows the individual has a knife?
I would say that's a little bit higher of a threat because there is availability of a weapon. And again, there's so many things to consider. Are we talking a can of beer, a glass bottle of beer, a metal mug of beer, or glass mug of beer? There's so many things that can change that situation.
Pass witness.
No further questions, John.
May this witness be released.
State has no reason to do.
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. You're free to go about your business. All right, it's now noon. We will take our lunch break today. Remember my instructions, don't talk about this case with anyone. Don't even talk about it among yourselves. You only talk about it among yourselves when all 12 of you are together and you are deliberating. Also, don't text or tweet about it. Don't look up any information and don't go to any locations that might be related to this case. Y'all have a good lunch. We'll come back and get started at 1:30. Thank you.
All right, for the jury.
Anything we need to take up?
For the state. This time.
All right, thank you all. We'll be back at 1:30. We're off the record.